tutorial for DEX Science Set 5.3. Hi, and welcome to another video. In this video, we are going to learn about forces. In particular, we're going to learn about frictional force. Now, the materials we need for the particular activity we'll do in this video will be from the compartment B5.4.3.1. So let's just go ahead and take our materials. Now, this activity is really exciting. We are going to build two racing tracks, one of a smooth surface and one of a rough surface. And we're going to use these two tracks to do an experiment to determine how friction can affect movement. So what you need would be a pair of scissors to remove all of the rubbers. We're going to remove these parts from the sheet that they are stuck on. So these are just there so that we could organize all the materials. So you don't really need it for anything. These are the materials you need in order to do this simple experiment to learn about friction. We have some rough surface here. We are going to use this one to make our smooth surface. We also have some acrylic here that we are going to use to guide our cars as they move along the track. We also have these pieces of plastic here that will also allow us to guide the car. And then of course we have the cars themselves. And on these all other, we have some string here as well. That would also help us to guide the car. So you basically have the items to make the track itself that the car is going to be on. You have the car, and then all of these other items are meant to guide the car as it moves on the track. The first thing we are going to do in this activity is to build our two tracks, okay? And so I'm going to move all of the other things out of the way, and then we're going to start building our tracks. When it comes to the tracks, the rough track has already been cut to dimension for you, because usually that's a little bit more difficult to cut. And so you get to do some measuring, but you're not going to do it with the rough surface. So our rough track is 83 centimeters, okay? And so we have to make sure that our smooth track is also exactly 83 centimeters, okay? So if we measure this PVC material here, if we measure this PVC material here, we get 29.5 centimeters. 29.5 centimeters. And so what we're going to do is that we need to be able to calculate how many of these we need to cut to join in order to get our 83 centimeters. Okay? When you do your calculations, you realize that you're going to need 2.8 of this length of PVC in order to make our 83. And so we're going to have 29.5, another 29.5, and then we're going to add about 24 to that to give us this length. Okay? So you need to go through that calculations, learn your decimals, and then be able to do this construction. Now the other part that we need to then measure is how wide it is. We're going to find that it's about 4 centimeters. Okay, good. So we're going to cut it about 4 centimeters, how wide it is, and then its length is going to be 29.5. We're going to cut 3 of them. Okay. And so we're going to measure 4 over here. Okay, you can just go ahead and measure 8 because that's 4 plus 4, that's 8. And we're going to go ahead and then measure 12. Okay, we measure 4, we measure 8, and then we measure 12. Okay, again, we measure 4, we measure 8, and then we'll measure 12. Now that we have 3 points, you can go ahead and then cut. We're going to cut along this line here. You're going to, the next one will also be cut along this line here. And then the final one will be cut along this line here. Okay. So you can use a pair of scissors or a cutter to cut this. I have a cutter on hand, and so I'm going to use that to cut. Gently cut this. In case you're using a cutter, make sure there is an adult present. So we have 3, and let's not forget that we don't need all 3. Okay, so the front one has about 24. Okay, so that's somewhere here. You can come down a little bit and measure another 24. When drawing a straight line, it's always helpful to have at least 3 points. Okay, so I have 3 points. I'm going to draw a straight line and go ahead and cut now. Okay, so we have the final piece here. Okay, so when we join these things together, they should give us the length of our second track. There's a double-sided tape, and so we're just going to go ahead and then remove it like this. We're going to use about 3 centimeters of double-sided tape. Okay, and we're going to cut that and then stick them all along the track. Okay, so in total, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of these double-sided tapes. Then we're going to put all along our track. So we turn the track onto this side, and then we're just simply going to stick our double-sided tape on it. The first one is going to be right at the beginning here. We're just going to stick it there like this. Okay. The next one will come few centimeters along. Okay. And the next one. So you have this where we have all the double-sided tapes stuck under the track. So we're going to peel the white layer off gently, leaving the sticky parts on there. So we're going to do that. And be careful when you start removing, be careful it doesn't roll, because if it does, then it could touch and then it's going to start disturbing you. And so be very careful it doesn't roll. So it might be a good idea to have a someone help you when you get to this stage, or you can basically try and then hold it up this way. Okay, I'm going to remove this part too, and then I remove the next one. And then I remove the final one. So now that we have all of the white layer removed, we are now going to stick it onto a surface. Okay, so once it's stuck, you press to make sure that the sticky part is nicely aligned with the surface, so you have a nice track ready to go. Okay, then make sure you stretch it so that you don't get any parts lifting up, so that it's nice and flat. Now once you're done with that, we're now coming to do the same thing for our smooth track, and so we're going to lay it just by the side. Okay, and we're going to continue them until we get to the length that we need. Okay, so I'm just going to remove the tape. Okay, and I'm going to remove this one too, and the final one is the delicate one. I'm going to remove nicely like this. Okay, so I'm going to stick that onto the surface. There's going to be some distance between it, so I'll stick that on there like this. So I'm going to place this such that it joins nicely to the next track. Okay, good. And then extend it. Nice. Onto the next one like this. Okay, so you get something that looks like this. Okay, and then we're going to bring the final one. We're going to join it. Nicely, and there we go. Okay, so we have our smooth surface and then our rough surface. So as you can see, this side has bulged a little bit. Usually that is not a good sign. In case you have something like this, you might want to get just a little bit more of your tape. Let's remove it. So you have your sticky side. Place it underneath here, and then stick on it. Okay. Alright. So you have two nice tracks here, the smooth and then the rough. So this is what we're going to do our experiment to check what will happen to the car on the rough surface and then the car on the smooth surface. Which one of them will move the fastest? Which one of them will move the farthest? Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is to set up our cars and then make sure they are nicely guided. Okay, now to do that we're going to need our strings. Okay, we need enough strings so that it extends beyond the tracks, and then we're going to cut that. And then we're going to do the same thing. So these strings will help guide the car on the track. So the next thing we're going to do is to set up the car. It's very important, okay? And so we have the first one here, and it's a very simple pull-back engine. Where you pull back and you leave it and then it moves. Okay, pull it back, you leave it and then it moves. Okay, it's a very simple track. You can actually play with it a little bit. Okay, very simple track. But because we want to be able to guide it and make sure it stays on the track, that's why we have these strings there. Okay, we have this 3D printer part here. We're going to place it on top of the car. So you have something that looks like this. Okay, very simple. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pass it through the channel. And then you have this nicely done. Okay, so they are ready to go. We are going to put a string through them, okay? Very simple. So we're going to take this string here. Okay. Now we're just going to push the string through the channel. Very simple. Okay. Okay, so we're going to put the string through here. Okay, comes through the other side. And then we pull it. Okay, and so you have the string here, and then we're going to come and put it here. Okay, we're ready to go. Okay, very nice. We're going to do the same for the next one. Take the string, we're going to push it through the channel. So now we have our truck and our cars and the string all set up, okay? What we need to do is to make sure we secure the strings at both ends, like that, okay? So we're going to build something that we're going to put at the ends of the trucks. That will help us hold the string tight in order to guide the car as it moves along the track, okay? So let's build that. We're going to need these pieces here. So we have essentially a simple socket system here, and so you're going to put this one nicely through it like this, so you get something that looks like this. There's some small cutouts at the tip here, and that is where our string is going to be secured. Okay, so we're going to do the second one. Okay, you're gonna have it like that. You have a nice cutout there. Okay. Now, in order to affix these on, we are going to need some double-sided tape again, of course. So we're going to cut again. We're going to need about 4 centimeters of tape. Okay, 4 centimeters of tape. So I'm just going to cut that here. Okay. Okay. We're just going to need 2 of them because we have 2 of the stands. Okay, so it's about 4 centimeters. Cut that as well. So we take our tape and then we take our stand. We place the tape on the stand. Okay, like that. And then we take the second one, place tape, and stand like that. Okay, and so we have 2 so each. So let's go ahead and then build another set of stands for the second track. Okay, so in the same way as we did the other one, we're going to take this and then press it through. Okay, got that. Then we're going to do the same thing for the second one. So we have here our tracks with our stand. So how do we secure the string to it? Very, very simple. You take your string, you make sure it's nice and stretched, and you're going to tie a knob just around the point where you want to put your stand. I'm going to tie a very simple knot. Just one is fine, actually. And then once you're done with that, you're going to place the string into that small cutout. Make sure that your knob is at the back. And then when you stretch it, it's going to hold the string. Very simple. When you stretch it, it holds the string. So you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay? Before you go and do that one, you take the double-sided tape from underneath the stand, and then you place it. Just make sure that as you're placing it, your string is nice and goes along the center of your track, and then you place it there like this. Okay, so that when you stretch your string, so because I had no place, well, that's why it's coming off. So let's make sure it's nice and secure. Always find a surface that is not too smooth. If your surface is too smooth, your double-sided tape is not going to stick very well. So when I pull my string, I get something like this. Okay? Something like this. Okay? So now I'm going to do the exact same thing on this side. I'm going to tie it. So I'll extend it. So if your string is farther away, that means that your stand has to be farther away. Okay? So you place it through, and then you have it further away such that the string is nicely stretched. Okay, so I'm just going the double-sided tape. Okay, and then I'm going to nicely stretch it, make sure it's nice and stretched, and the string is, so you have a very nice straight string. So we're going to do the same thing for the second track. So again, you extend the string. You have a really beautiful setup. We have two cars. Setup is almost ready to go, but before we start racing or doing our experiment, there are a few things you need to check. Now, one of the first things is you make sure that the holder that you've placed on the engine, okay? So make sure it's not moved too far back. So you're going to push it and bring it in front, something like this, so that it's not touching the track, okay? So it has to be somewhere. If it's pushed too far back, you can bring it here. If it's pushed too far front, you can bring it, just so that it's nice in a position that looks just like this, okay? So now that we have this ready, this one is also looking fine on this side. It's looking good as well. I'm going to call my assistant to come and help me so that we do our experiment to see which of the cars will move the fastest and the farthest, okay? If you have your predictions, predict which ones you think will move the farthest and the fastest. Let's race. Okay, so now that we have our setup ready, we are going to race. Now, in order to set the car up to race, you just simply need to hold the front and then the end here. And then whilst pressing it against the surface, you pull it backwards gently. When you hear it crack, that means it's ready. Then you hold the wheels, lift it up slightly, make sure it's at the beginning of the track, and then you let go. Okay? Good. So that's exactly what we are going to do. So let me bring it back so that we can race it properly. Okay? All right, so my assistant here is going to race the car on the rough surface, and I'll race the one on the smooth surface. Are you ready? Okay, so let's start. Let's hold, press it against the surface, and then pull it backwards. Okay, so when you hear the cracking, that means it's ready to go. So I'm going to count from 3. Once I'm done counting, we let go. Okay? Are you ready?
Ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, let's try that again one more time to be sure. All right. So when you are setting the car up to race, try not to hold this 3D printer part. Okay? Because if you do, it might push it forward or push it backwards. It just needs to be in a position right about here, as I showed you earlier. Good. So we're going to try it again. This time I'm racing the one on the rough surface, and then my assistant is racing the one on the smooth surface. Okay. So let's try one more time. Okay, hold it. Okay, it's cracking. That means it's ready. Okay. Now I'm going to count to 0 again. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Good. So as we can see, clearly the car that moves on the rough surface is able to move faster and further. Why is this? Because there's a lot of friction on the surface, and then the more friction there is, the easier it is for the tires to grip the surface and then roll. And so if the surface is too smooth, then the tire is going to skid and it's not going to get enough to grab and move. That is why it's dangerous to be driving on wet road. But when you apply your brakes and it's raining, your car can skid and then move without the tire gripping the road properly. And so we're going to race one last time just to indeed confirm that the car on the rough surface moves further and faster. And as always, this exciting activity was made possible by the Dexine Set 5.3. So let's race again. Please bring the cars close by. Okay, so we're going to hold, pull it backwards. Okay, it's cracking. This is ready to go. So 3, 2, 1, go. See you in the next video.